The Senate notes that the Nigerian Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has 4 refineries, 2 in Port-Harcourt, 1 each in Kaduna and Warri, with a combined installed capacity of 444,000 barrels per day. Port-Harcourt refinery, 210,000, Kaduna, 110, Warri, 125,000 barrels per day. Built to efficiently and profitably process crude oil into petroleum products as well as manufacture and market petrochemical products. The Senate notes also that the refineries were established to adequately supply and serve the needs for the liquefied petrol gas, premium motor spirit, dual-purpose kerosene, automotive gas oil, low-power fuel oil, high-power fuel oil, and aviation turbine kerosene for both local consumption and exports for maximum profit. The Senate recalls that the country through NNPC has, in the past 25 years, spent billions of US dollars in turnaround maintenance of the refineries, the latest being over $365 million spent between 2013 and 2015 without any meaningful result. The Senate is dismayed that the refineries have remained in a moribund state in the last 15 to 20 years and is almost reaching total collapse due to lack of proper maintenance of the facilities with a poor average capacity utilization hovering between 15% and 25% per annum. The Senate is concerned that despite the huge spending on turnaround maintenance of the refineries, NNPC recently announced, as published by the Punch newspaper of Thursday, 23rd January 2020, a cumulative loss of 23.25 billion naira in 10 months, January to October 2019, putting the total revenue of the facilities at 68.82 billion, while the total expenses incurred was 192.1 billion naira within the same period. The Senate worried that such huge wastages and slippages amidst the nation's tight economy, if not addressed, may lead the country back to recession. The Senate believes that such losses, when averted and combined with huge expenditures in under-recovery on PMS, pump price, and properly channeled into full rehabilitation and construction of modern refineries, would positively impact on the economy and save the country from the shame of PMS importation and its ripple effects. The Senate observes that the lack of adequate maintenance of refinery facilities has gradually led the country back to the suspicious, controversial, huge spending on PMS products supply, in which NNPC, within 13 months, January 2018 to January 2019, allegedly incurred an expenditure of 843.12 billion naira on under-recovery, a thing the present administration has put in much effort to stop by raising fuel pump price from 87 naira to between 135 and 145 naira per litre in 2016. And finally, the Senate is disturbed that the continuous deterioration of the refinery facilities to a state of near collapse could be as a result of contributory negligence on the part of the NNPC, orchestrated towards siphoning the economy through a disguised process referred to as under-recovery, with its attendant spending of huge funds aimed at sabotaging the effort of the federal government in its fight against corruption. Accordingly, sir, the Senate resolves: 1. Urge the NNPC to completely evaluate the dilapidated state of the refineries for total overhauling and rehabilitation to international standards, and save the country from further wastages and slippages of its meager resources. Number 2, mandate the Committee on Downstream petroleum sector to carry out a holistic investigation on the turnaround maintenance expenditures and the current state of the refineries, as well as convoke a stakeholders conference with the aim of finding the best way to revamp the ailing refineries in order to favorably compete in the international market within the shortest period of time. And finally, number 3, mandate the Committee on Downstream Petroleum Sector to investigate the NNPC huge expenditure on under-recovery since inception. I so move. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikunle Amosun, I represent Ogun Central. Mr. President, let me commend Senator Yusuf for bringing up this very important motion. And I wholeheartedly second this motion. And in seconding this motion, I want to say that one of the bane of Nigeria as a nation is this very apparent lack of maintenance culture. If you have a car, if you have anything that you do not maintain, that you do not care for, clearly it will not matter how good, how strong, how beautiful, whatever you have may be, of course it will go bad. I know this will not be the first time that attention will be drawn to the near collapse of our refinery. Oil should be blessing to us as a nation, just as oil has been to other countries that discovered oil. But to us in Nigeria, oil had made us so lazy, and people believe that this is an avenue to make quick money. Unfortunately, and very ironic, if this is probably the cake that all of us are depending on, even if we do not maintain all the other sectors, this is one sector that we should all be very concerned about its well-being. But unfortunately, I recollect that even in 2003, when I was in this same hallowed chamber, we dwelt on it, we spoke about it, we talked about it. Investigation was done, that was done, but up to today, indeed that time it wasn't this bad. Now it's very bad. Of course, we begin to hear swap. And what is swap? Because we cannot refine our products. So people will take our crude elsewhere outside this country to refine and bring back to us at very, very, very high exorbitant prices. And this mega foreign exchange that we should have used to develop other sectors are now being used to refine products and bring it back to our nation. If you have a capacity of almost maybe 400 plus, if that is working, of course we will not have the need to spend these meager resources that we have on maybe giving money to some people to refine our product for us. I will want to say that I concur with all the requests, all the prayers that our downstream committee should critically look into what are the problems. Unfortunately, it's not that we are bereft of ideas. We will come here now and talk about wonderful things that can be done to revive these refineries. But lo and behold, maybe we'll come back again next year to say the same thing. I remember this turnaround maintenance. People were making money. 25 billion over a period of 25 years. $1 billion, not billion naira. Even if it has to be naira, it's a lot of money. Now $25 billion down the drain. Today, we are at the mercy of some other smaller nations that we now rely upon to now bring to go and refine our crude. So, Mr. President, I think anything that will help us particularly this administration that put very, very significant importance on fighting corruption, on making sure that all our assets, our strategic asset works, should please look into how we can get NNPC to ensure that our refineries begin to work. In a scenario where over 25 years or even more than, partly maybe between 15 and 25% of our refineries are working. So that is a very sad commentary on us as a nation. And I think it will even be in the interest of all of us, particularly now that everybody is shouting about borrowing, that we should look inward. If we look inward, we increase our IGR, we will not go a borrowing again. If we fix our refineries, the money that ordinarily can be used for other things that we are now using on swap to come and to go and refine our products to bring back to us will be used for some other, what I call very important things, like education, like agriculture, our hospitals, our infrastructures, they're there. We have huge deficit of infrastructures. We need all this money. So, Mr. President, I want to plead with my colleagues that this is one motion that we should all support, and that we should quickly get our downstream committee to spring into action and get to the root of what the problem is. And it will be to your credit, Mr. President, if this can be resolved during this, our ninth Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Urge the NNPC to completely evaluate the dilapidated state of the refineries for total overhauling and rehabilitation to international standard and save the country from further wastages and splippages of its meager resources. Those in favor of the prayer say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Prayer 2 mandate the Committee on Downstream Petroleum Sector to carry out a holistic investigation on the term expenditures and the current state of the refineries, as well as convoke a stakeholders conference with the aim of finding the best way to revamp the ailing refineries in order to favorably compete in the international market within the shortest period of time. Those in favor of the prayer say aye. Amendment, Leader.
We recall that the issue of petroleum reform in the petroleum sector has been one of the major planks of the agenda of the distinguished Senate. Therefore, my own amendment to this recommendation would be, or this prayer, would be to pass this this motion to the joint committees on downstream, upstream, and gas, because they are likely going to have a much more holistic dimension. They could see the issue much more clearly, and they can look at a much more holistic assessment of the situation, so that this is one of the issues that will inform us when we come to consider the bill. Otherwise, we will be doing things in halfway measures. I think it's better for us. You will note also that really one of the major problems that has been hampering investment in the petroleum industry, a lot of the problems that happen to the refineries, is because of failure of those who are interested in this to come up and invest in refining and several other sectors of our petroleum industry, because we have not been able to come with a very clear legal framework on the basis of which we can run our petroleum issues. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why Dangote went and established his own, rather than taking over our own to republish them. So in order to really...
What will be the amendment? You can...
My amendment, sir, is to direct our petroleum, upstream, downstream, and gas joint committee to look into these issues that have been raised in prayer 2 and 3, and then report back to Senate in 2 weeks.
Senator Sabi Ali Abdullahi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Ali Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. I second the motion that the prayers be amended to urge the 3 committees on petroleum, upstream, downstream, and gas to examine the items 1 and 2 in the prayers.
I want to observe that the Senate Committee on Downstream will still be doing its oversight, and these are some of the issues before the committee. So I believe that even when we pass this, we amend the prayer, the committee should be should go ahead to continue to do its oversight function. So those in favor of the prayer as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. That brings to the end, and I want to once again remind us that the PIB is going to be probably worked upon within this month, within February, and our three committees, particularly the Committee on Downstream, Committee on Upstream, and the Gas, will swing into action immediately. And some of these issues are those issues that will occupy their minds when they will be working on the PIB before the larger Senate gets involved. So I want to urge the Downstream Committee at this stage to continue to look into the area of maintaining the pipelines like the sponsor of the motion raised. But when it comes to the larger petroleum industry, the three committees in the joint manner should be really very interested in how these facilities, our assets, are maintained for efficiency and optimal performance. Thank you very much. Yes, point of order, Senator.